Hello everyone. Quite a journey for me, coming all over from Miami in the US. All to present for you here today. Okay, let me begin. So, as an exited co-founder of a big tech company in the US, I was recently asked to write an article with this title: What difficulties in business did I face as an Eastern woman from Kyrgyzstan? I stumbled at first. Oh boy, where do I even start? Imposter syndrome, pay gap, motherhood penalties, all those concepts came into my life as I was navigating the business world. Because I was in the US, there were additional challenges for me. I had a very thick accent, a quite uncertain legal status as an international student, and absolutely no network in the US. My article would have been way too long, so I decided to focus on only one thing. The thing that ironically both helped me enter the big tech world as a woman, but also nearly crushed me in it down the road. The most important goal for a woman in life is to marry well and have a family. I was hearing that from my mom growing up in Kyrgyzstan for as long as I can remember. It never stopped there. As I was told, a truly good wife must support her husband in all his career endeavors. You probably heard it too. Behind every great man is a great woman. So imagine me, a 20-year-old young girl, traveling around the world, adding impressive lines to my resume, not just for myself, but for the great man that I was supposed to support one day. That man came along on the very first day of my MBA program in the US. He had dreams of opening a big business and making a fortune. Wow, there he was, my ambitious man, my fifth element to success. When he asked me to join him in the business plan competition that we had in our school, I wasn't that thrilled though. At the time, I was juggling my full-time studies with not even one, but two part-time jobs to barely afford a basic living in the US as an international student. But as my Eastern upbringing mandated it, I had to support my man. And so I did. We placed second in the business competition and were off to the races to build our tech startup together. My partner, feeling confident, took charge of the tech side of the business and stepped into the role of a CEO, while I, being a more reserved, back-playing Eastern woman, took care of everything else in accounting, operations, marketing. And at that time, this work dynamic felt quite natural to me and even fortunate. The man I had to grow was all strong and capable. Until one day, our business mentor pointed out that I'm being overshadowed by my partner. I tried to explain that there was nothing to worry there. In that union, I was the power behind the throne. But after a series of painful experiences I had encountered with my partner, I realized the mentor was right. I wasn't a power behind the throne. I was simply an intimidated woman who hadn't yet realized her own value. Before I would lose the last share of my company, I had to start shedding off those limiting beliefs that I grew up with in Central Asia. Indeed, if you think about it, why was I raised to believe that my whole life success, my well-being, would depend on the man that I marry? Why, with my abilities and ambitions so evident, did it never occur to me that I can build an empire on my own? Well, perhaps because I was always told to prioritize marriage above all else. When I shook off those limiting beliefs, everything changed for me, in business and in my personal life. Even though the marriage with my partner didn't last long, I succeeded greatly in our business and even outlasted my partner. And I also happened to be happy and find a new love later on. We're happily married now with 2 children. But you know what? Even if I had remained single, it wouldn't have been because I chose business over love, like many people in Central Asia would jump to conclude. It would simply be because I hadn't yet the right partner for myself. So in Central Asia, this mindset that woman's success will stay in the way to her marriage is still frustratingly strong. When prominent female graduates all over Central Asia happen to go abroad for their big studies, they all seem to be having the same conversations with their parents about a female happiness that they may lose because they're chasing their careers. I had the same conversation with my mom when I was leaving to the US for my MBA. And I will tell you that in the Western world, this concept, this term, female happiness, it doesn't even exist. I cannot picture any American parent saying to their daughter something like, honey, are you sure about Harvard? But what about your marriage? At best, it would sound absurd. But in Central Asia, the more successful the woman becomes in her career, the stronger the barriers she faces from the society to start prioritizing her marital roles. And you know what? It doesn't just hurt our women, it hurts us all. The US figured long ago that when women, the other half of the population, fully participate in the workforce, economies flourish. Poverty decreases, higher household incomes drive the consumption up, and gender diversity fuels the innovation, opening completely new markets for the economies. And if it's not enough convincing for you, then get this. When women earn their money, they tend to reinvest them in their children's education and the family health care, fostering a stronger, more educated, and a healthier society as a result. So simply put, when women are empowered to pursue their paid careers rather than being confined to the unpaid domestic labor at home, the benefits extend far beyond themselves. Our children, our men, our parents, all the society thrives as the result. Knowing this phenomenon, the US has been fighting for a more equitable wealth distribution between men and women for very many decades. But turns out that still, women in America only hold 30% of the country's wealth. Why would it be? Well, first turns out that women in the US, on average, makes 20% less than men for the same roles they have in the corporate world. This is a widespread phenomenon called gender pay gap. Second, women are clustered in the lesser paying industries such as education and healthcare, while men dominate the more lucrative markets in finance and technology. And if we add here the motherhood penalty, the situation when women have to take career breaks or demotions for childbirth and caregiving responsibilities, it's no wonder why women cannot accumulate the wealth that they badly need and deserve. But there is a light at the end of this tunnel. Turns out that in US, female-led tech startups are changing the game for everyone. In 2017, out of all self-made millionaires in the US, only 7% were women. Today, this number has jumped to 11%. This rapid increase shows that despite all the gender bias that exists there for women, hundreds of thousands of women still could build the generational wealth for their families. And I'm happy to be one of them, despite my shaky start as a modest Eastern woman. And I'm here to tell you, you can be next. I know that many of you ladies here in this very room or who are listening to this talk already have your $1 million ideas. Take my friend Sivara, who made it to Harvard this year, and she's determined to launch her ad tech after she finishes her degree. My friend Gulnaza already founded a femtech in Kyrgyzstan. My friend Irina Abbasova formed the largest investor community in Kazakhstan, and she's extending her legacy by teaching women on financial literacy. So there are countless other women in Central Asia who have their $1 million dreams, yet I know they're hesitant to pursue them, simply because they're either rushing to find a family partner first, or they are overwhelmed with the family duties that they already have. But do not make my mistakes. Go and start your businesses today and take the leading positions in them from the very beginning. Don't waste your time on a small game. Focus on the lucrative areas in finance and technology. I know you may be the only woman in the room, just like I was with my tech startup. But your courage can lead to the rewards that beyond what you can imagine. To make those bold moves, I know you will need a ton of resources and support, but guess what? The support is already there. There are numerous women-focused business initiatives in our region, often sponsored by the international organizations. And while it's a great first step, they always miss the mark on the bold, high-impact ventures that women badly need to be involved in our region. That's what drives my mission today, to bring the best practices from the US and facilitate the creation of the so-called venture capital funds, specifically for those high-risk, high-reward, female-led tech startups in Central Asia. So, ambitious women, Eastern women out there, let's be brave and aim higher than we are. When you make your million, the society will have no choice but to support you. Because as blunt as it may sound, money is power. And for the gentlemen out there, it's time to step up and take the caregiving duties, because I know you can be great fathers, besides what our nation has the opinion on it. And my husband, he is of a Persian origin, is a perfect example of that. Despite being very busy with his own ventures in the US, he has very naturally, perfectly took care of our 2 children while I'm all the way here across the globe giving this speech. So ladies and gentlemen in Central Asia, our nation is gonna see the huge rise. Exciting times are coming. So together, let's unite and go past the limiting beliefs that we had and embrace the new values that benefit us all. Thank you.